It is a worthy stage for a national championship game. It is the home stadium for the Canes of Miami. Mario Cristobal, Curt Cignetti. These are two ball coaches that are about it. A lot of respect there as the game gets going. And here, well, that's Jacoby Thomas, and that's got to be flagged. You can't do that. Fernando Mendoza is bloodied. Curt Cignetti didn't like it. Don't blame him. That is absolutely a personal foul. They get a field goal there, and same score midway through the second. The U's done nothing. Riley Nowakowski, that is the name of a fullback and a very capable tight end. They use him very capably in the offense. It's 10-0. Indiana held Miami to 20 yards rushing in the first half. This is 57 yards of Mark Fletcher Jr. And in the blink of an eye, right before that play, I said to Dusty Dvorak, I said, they haven't had one easy play. Nothing has worked. And then literally the next play, everyone in the U is celebrating. It's still 10-7. They fielded a punt at their own 3-yard line, which was a bad idea. They couldn't move off the 3-yard line. And here, Mikhail Kamara blocks. Isaiah Jones recovers. That's starters on defense that play on teams. That's what IU does. First special teams touchdown in a BCS College Football Championship playoff final since 2016. But then Malachi Toney, you're going to hear from him, and you do. Beautiful play design there. Gain of 22. Then 3rd and 1. Speaking of beautiful play designs, the speed of Toney to the outside is a little bit scary. You hand off inside to the battering ram Fletcher Jr. His mom, Linda, loves that. 17-14. 4th and 5. The moments getting more significant. Charlie Becker, back shoulder throw. This dude is a speedster. He caught touchdowns in the first 2 playoff games, but he made huge possession catches in this one. Now it's 4th down again. Becker, no. Design run. Curt Cignetti said they rolled the dice, and then his quarterback gets blasted by Basant, who is delivering lumberjack blows throughout this game, and he is able to not only not fumble, not fall down, but spin and dive for the end zone. A Heisman moment, his family celebrating, watching with joy as the Hoosiers are back in front by 10. But now, it's Toney again. This guy from the jump on this field against Notre Dame back in August. He announced himself as a guy you're going to need to keep an eye on throughout this season and play the fight song into the end zone. That's why IU doesn't kick a field goal to go up 6, because the touchdown would leave them behind. So it's 24-21. Did I mention high leverage moments, throws and catches to who? Becker, again, challenged, and man, they let the secondary for both sides be physical, and Becker is able to secure that catch. A 3rd and 5 late, and the U is able to swallow up the attempt for the first down. This is actually after a rare penalty for IU backed them up, so now they kick the field goal, which means the U has got a chance. And here is this roughing. Down goes Beck, and it's a new set of downs for Miami after a couple of rare penalties for Indiana are really, really penalizing. And then Jamari Sharp, the kid from Miami, Northwestern High School, climbs the ladder, and that will do it, because out of timeouts, Miami cannot stop the clock. Beck can't believe it after leading the touchdown drive against Ole Miss that propelled them to this championship game. That last drive ends in a pick, and it's a 16-0 national championship season for Curt Cignetti and this Indiana team. A ton of his JMU squad came with him. They used the portal effectively. Some who stuck around, like Becker, not a guy that was thought to become this type of player, but really developed into one. And it's not just that this is an unlikely / impossible story, given their history, which prior to Curt Cignetti's arrival was the worst in all of college football. It's who they just beat in succession. In the Big Ten title game, Ohio State, then Alabama in the Rose Bowl, then it was Oregon in Atlanta, and now here on its home field, they beat the U in Miami. You're talking about heavyweights throughout the history of college football, and now the belt and the title belongs to Indiana. It is remarkable, and the way they won it tonight was worthy of the moment and worthy of the title champions. Ram Truck post game continues. Pleasure to visit now with the men that called the game, Chris Fowler and Fowler and Herbstreit. And fellas, if you could hear the laundry list, Chris, that I was just running through, who they beat on the way to this title, I think frames it even more remarkably. How does that land with you? Who they defeated on the way to this?
Well, I doubted in the modern era you're going to have a 16-0 team win a national championship. I thought it was going to be very challenging to do. And it's Indiana, of all teams, of all programs, that ends up doing it. Look, they earned the bye. They went out to Pasadena, and they were not just happy to be there. They dominated Alabama. Many thought Oregon was going to get them in the return match. That was a first-round knockout. This was a different kind of game. And Indiana had to show the kind of resolve, Scotty, they'd showed through their regular season. We talked about the comebacks and the responses by Mendoza. They had to respond again and again because Miami wouldn't go away.
Yeah. I mean, halftime we were talking, boy, we thought Miami would come in and have a little bit more fight. And I think when they got the stop, Scott, in the second half, I said to Chris, you could feel the momentum just on the stop before the Fletcher long touchdown. You could feel the crowd felt we need to play with more urgency. The team felt second half, new half. And then they had that long touchdown, and I thought to myself, we're about to have a heck of a second half. This is about to be game on, and then, of course, it went back and forth. But just being from the Big Ten and growing up, never expecting Indiana's one of those stadiums that the visiting teams, the big schools, fill up their stadium. That's kind of who they've been most of their lives as fans. And to see this, I've seen these for years, but I think there's such gratitude and appreciation, sincere gratitude and appreciation from this Indiana fan base that this party is going to last for a long, forget tonight, this is going to go for a few days, I think.
Michigan a couple years ago, Scotty, 15-0, Ohio State, and now you got back-to-back for the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And between 69, the year after Woody Hayes won at Ohio State, and the playoff here, they've won a total of 3 in that span. So it's a seismic shift.
No question, and we think about the run the SEC had, and it was the fact that there were many different teams among them, whether it was Florida or Alabama or Auburn or LSU. And now you see in order Ohio State, Michigan, and now Indiana, improbably. And I agree with what you said, fellas, at the end. Like this is not going to go away. It's not just the billionaires that are throwing their support behind it. It's this massive alumni base that passed the hat to help in this modern era with the tools that are available to them to help bring these guys there. I'm interested just in the plays that happen along the way. That, like, Becker makes a huge catch, but it's that guy right there, a Heisman Trophy winner. We heard Coach say he rolled the dice, and you better be right. And it feels like he pressed every correct button, and then they get the stop in the end. It was just a remarkable second half for a team that was able to absorb a punch, Chris, when they had to.
They did. Kirk and I, we talked about that play. Yeah, the run is going to be replayed forever, but the call should not be forgotten. They had a chance to go up 10 there and really put pressure on Miami. A field goal, and it's a 6-point game. That would have felt like maybe Miami actually had momentum off that stop. Instead, he felt good about the play. He went into granular detail about how they blocked it up and why they rolled the dice. To me, Mendoza, though, taking the 2 shots in the course of that run and just going airborne, I'll never forget that.
No, and I do think that the call, if you think about it in the modern world of the NFL, and the analytics, I mean, it makes sense because of what's at stake there. You got a chance to make it a 2-possession game late. If you don't get it, your defense has been playing well for most of the game, and you got them pinned at around the 15-yard line. So I'm sure they went back and forth during that timeout, but the right call was made. What a call by Mike Shanahan, the offensive coordinator, along with Cignetti, to trust their guy. He's been at that high red zone area. That's usually where he runs the ball. And one Miami safety came down, the other one did not. So he had room to cut to the right and then took it into the end zone. But a gutsy run, and a great way for us to kind of put that exclamation point in the year that Mendoza has enjoyed this year, winning the Heisman.
You guys have been such a part of the fabric of the sport for so many years, and I know how much Coach Cristobal detests the idea of is the U back. Forget the U back. They're here right now, and I understand this is a disappointing loss, and they'll have to transition away from the quarterback back who was here this year. But the sport's more fun when they matter, in my opinion, and this place was electric tonight. What's your sense of the direction that they will go moving forward?
Not going away, that's for sure. They are loaded with talent. Mark Fletcher going to come back for another year of college football. They've got a boatload of young guys coming in there. Cristobal, to me, has a solid blueprint. I do want to say something about Carson Beck, though. That was a heartbreaking way to go out. He's got a couple championship rings for Georgia, but they keep him in a drawer in Jacksonville because he wasn't really a starter or a big part of that. This was his chance, his moment. You dream about it as a quarterback. He had done some great things to bring him back, and just that one kind of like miscommunication, presses the ball in there, Sharp makes the pick, and many people, I think, have a misunderstanding about Beck and what he's about. He's a team guy. These Miami teammates love him, and I hate to see, for him personally, that's a tough blow for any individual to kind of bear that responsibility.
I agree with you. And Chris and I have had a chance with Holly to sit down with him, I don't know, 7 or 8 times just in those production meetings, and you get to know some of these guys at a different level, and he's one of them. And boy, the table was set. After all, it's what we said when we let him out, you know, when they after Indiana kicked off, after all he's been through, down 6, minute and a half, go do it. You know, what an opportunity. I'm with Chris. Miami's not going to go anywhere. When you say Indiana's not going anywhere, Miami, that doesn't mean they're going to play in the national championship every year. It just means these teams are going to be around. These teams are. This was not climb up here. This was fun. See you later. They're going to be around.
Right.
You know, it's going to be fun. And I think Vanderbilt's going to be around. It's just a new world, a new era that we live in.
I wonder, Scotty, though, if you're in any conference in the country where football is important, how can you not believe something's possible if you can get the right guy? See, that's what Cignetti has done. I mean, you look at administrations, and there's not much patience out there, because if you're not winning, we can go try to find a guy who can use the portal, raise some money, and do something close to this. Maybe not reach 16-0, but compete quickly. There's no more excuses out there, really.
No, and the blueprint exists. It requires the needle to be threaded quite exactly, and there's much praise to be handed out around the board as it relates to Bloomington. But I'm glad you guys also mentioned Beck as well. They're not here if he doesn't lead them on a drive against Ole Miss to get him into this game, right? And it ends in heartbreak, and the Miami kid, as you guys called, immediately with the pick. A remarkable night. As always, you guys do it so well, and it's so fun to be here with you. Thanks for sharing a little time with me. I look forward to visiting down the road, boys.
All right, man.
Pleasure,
have
Scott.
a great show,
Good.
Scotty. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit conclude the college football season, and it ends with the remarkable exclamation point of the first championship in the history for IU. There's the Heisman Trophy winner on a roll the dice 4th and 5 call. They dominated this season throughout. 479 points of a differential, which is the second best in the poll era. The only team to outscore opponents by more, Florida State. That was in 2013. Shout out, Jameis. Don't break that thing. And then Fernando Mendoza becomes the 10th quarterback all-time to win the Heisman Trophy and a national title in the same season. The last to do it, Joe Cool. Man, what a team that was. The 19 LSU squad. He went #1 overall after that. Dusty, Dusty, I looked up his side over there. You're not Dusty. You're Rece Davis.
You want me to leave? What, Dusty?
Hell no. I'm happy to be with you both. You know how my affinity for Rece is well documented. Take a deep breath and try to process what we just witnessed. We're watching this game together, and let's be honest, it's dragging a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not great. Miami looks a little bit lost. Look like they're in the deep end of the pool, and the next thing you know, they hit one to Fletcher, and then now we're in one. Mm-hmm. For Indiana to land punches and absorb punches and then win in the manner in which they did, how will you look back and recall the way they did it tonight against Miami?
Just when you think that they couldn't elevate their status anymore, they did. I know they were challenged some in the regular season. Certainly the Penn State game, they were challenged in a game. A lot of people overlooked the Iowa game. That's different than on this stage. And they had made it easy up to this point, and it looked as if they might do it again tonight. But when Miami punched them, they stood firm. And I'll just remember their resolve, their excellence, their attention to detail, and it resulted in one of the great championship teams we've seen.
And there was a singular moment for Mendoza.
Yeah.
And I believe we might visit with Coach Cignetti. If we do, I'm going to ask him specifically about it. He said we rolled the dice. They took a timeout. We're watching this and we're processing this in real time. Like, do you kick it? And as Herbie said, the analytics of the moment, up 6 isn't great. And as it turned out, Miami went right down and scored anyway. But it's not just the play. It's the guy that ran the play and what he did on it. That was your reaction in real time was cool. Share it with the folks.
Well, first of all, I thought he should kick. Because if it had been 4th and 2, I probably would have said, yeah, go for it. But 4th and 5, I was surprised he went ahead and went for it. And then I said it's one of the greatest plays on this stage I've ever seen. I think I stood up and yelled.
You did.
And I wasn't rooting for anything. It was the way that last hit and then that one, and he would have scored anyway. But just for good measure, he didn't fumble the ball.
Right.
He still didn't let go of the ball. And I think, Chris Fowler and I had an appearance together last night. We were talking about, in front of some people, what it's like when somebody tells you you're not good enough. When they say you don't want you, particularly if it's someone or some program that you've grown up loving. And to be able to have that moment and to make that play against them in this place is one of the great sports moments, I think, in my career that I've seen.
Coach Cignetti told you a while ago it'd make a hell of a movie, and they've only added better scenes to it after that. But, I mean, you yelled because I think, like me, you're a fan of athletic excellence.
Yeah.
And when the stage is this big and the stakes are this high, to have your absolute best when your absolute best is required, that's what I admire more than anything. And this Indiana team, time and time again, had the goods, and they still had to stand up late and make another play. And the fact that it's a Northwestern high school kid. I mean, the fact that his uncle is involved in the play against Ohio State years ago for the U is just incredible. I think Miami deserves to feel good about tonight, but no one's going to try to sell them any sunshine, nor should they. I think the heartbreak's understood and it's palpable. I was thrilled to be able to watch a game like this and to see how much each of them had.
He intercepted, Jamari Sharp intercepted that ball right in front of where I was standing. And as I saw the play develop, I thought it was for a second it was going to be a touchdown. I thought he had him for a second. And actually he did. A little different throw, a little different route. I mean, it was a great play by Sharp, and it was a thrilling moment.
The sidelines are deep with legends from Miami. I'm talking to Calais Campbell right before I say, you think a double move? And it's kind of a running joke among my peers that double moves work every time. But I'm thinking as aggressive as both secondaries were playing tonight, I wondered if it might work. It's a shame for Beck, given what he did against Ole Miss, that on this field, that's how a career comes to an end. That's going to be hard to process.
I think in time he ought to be really proud of what he's accomplished, because you and I have talked about this a year ago at this time. He was in a dark spot. I mean, there were questions by some close to him. Is he going to continue doing this? Does he want to? Is it still worth it to him with not only just the physical injury, but just everything he'd gone through in making the move from Georgia? And to be able to get his team back here, to have a chance to play as well as he did, to become the leader that he became, I think is a really good story. And he'll never feel great about it because he's a competitor, but he should be proud because he acquitted himself with dignity.
Artie, you're the steward of the show I always call the best we have at ESPN, because it is, and that's game day. And you guys have Miami back on the map to be able to come here. I think it's more fun when they matter. I'm just interested in your perspective on their place in the sport and to be back where they are.
It's really important. I mean, it is great when a program like Indiana gets up off the mat and becomes champion. But you need standards. You need standard bearers. And Miami, since 1983, when they won a game no one thought they could win against Nebraska and won their first national championship, they've been a standard bearer. And it's good to see them back on the stage. And Mario talked about his players, and rightfully so, about how tough and resilient they are. How about how tough and resilient he is? He got fired just down the road at FIU. There have been questions at Oregon and here about game management, about different things. He stays tough. He improves. He takes care of a lot of these things. And he had his team on the stage and in position to win a national championship. And if I had to wager, I would say it won't be the last time that Miami's on this stage. And it's great to have them back. They are one of the standard bearers in the sport.
A ton to be proud of on this night. Apparently there was an incident afterwards, and I say apparently because we've been out here in this sea of humanity, and it's thousands of people quite literally on the field. And apparently I'm going to see it. Perhaps you at home have seen it afterwards. That's Mark Fletcher, who swung at an Indiana player, which obviously is Tyreek Tucker, and couldn't possibly know what was said. There's not been anything said yet from the Miami side. If they share any insight or any thoughts on that moment, we can share that with you. But obviously it's just it was an incredibly intense football game. Right. And the atmosphere here in those final few minutes were remarkable, which doesn't excuse that. It's just I'm interested to hear if we do hear anything more on that. We will share it with you. If I could get a final thought, RD, on Indiana. I'm chuckling because, man, if I tell you 2 years ago, you and I are going to be sitting in Miami and we're going to be talking about Curt Cignetti in Indiana won a national title, you'd have asked me for me to be committed. And here they are. How do you frame what it is that the Hoosiers of Indiana have just done?
We love sports stories and sports movies when the team that has no chance, the underdogs. Heck, there's one from the state of Indiana that we all love. You know, the Hoosiers. There's a quote in Hoosiers that said, let's win this for all the little teams who never had a chance to be here, right? Yep. And that's really what they lived out, except they're not a little team. They're talented now, and they're tough and resilient. But it's not just improbable, it's unthinkable. I mean, they've been a doormat forever, and now they're the champions. It's hard to wrap my head around. I laugh every time I think about it, not at them, but with them, thinking how great it is and how joyful all of these people were to be able to celebrate it and be part of it.
I did not see Curt Cignetti take out a tape measure and see if it was 10 feet off the goalpost, just like the ones back in Bloomington. I didn't see that happen. It might have at some point. I don't know. It's been an amazing joyride this season. It always flies by in such a flash, and always I enjoy sitting here with you with the confetti on the field and a chance to say thank you.
Always fun.
For your friendship, my friend.
Likewise, too. And by the way, your show's the best on TV, man. Unbelievable.
He obviously got into the tipsy Welshman. And
He's the best.
Thank you,
all know
RD.
it. Everybody knows it.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for your time. More to frame this remarkable context. When you're in a black and white picture side by side with the Yaleys, Bula Bula from 1894, you know you've made some history. Indiana becomes the second major college football team to go 16-0, joining the Yale squad from 1894. No, I don't even know what the rules were then. How many were on the field? What could you do? Like, what did you do? Well, how did you keep score? Nobody knows. Apparently, Anson Beard and All-American fullback Frank Butterworth were part of the Yale squad. That could be made up. No one knows for sure.